Hi everyone. Given that the Tipping Points is now on SBS, I think she must have found her Greek scientist. What an honour it is to be with such amazing women who have achieved change on global, socio-political and public levels. My story is not quite so philanthropic, and for those of you who know me, telling a self-indulgent, self-centered story is pretty typical of me, right, Jane? My story is very much a story about personal transformation. My story is about transforming a life of disappointment to a life of divine appointment. And the disappointment, I don't know if anybody else can relate to feeling disappointed in their life. It was a very, very common emotion for me. I didn't go as far as anguish sometimes, but disappointment was a constant for me. I was always disappointed with my body, disappointed with the career I ended up in, disappointed by not having relationships. I wish I could have been disappointed in relationships, but I never managed to get myself in one to be disappointed with for a long, long time. So that was still a high for me to have a disappointing relationship. So I was disappointed in every area, and I walked around in a 134 kilo body, very, very big, no headlights on, and very, very, very disappointed, but worse still, very disappointing to my mother, very disappointing to my community. So that was the way I lived my life, and I didn't know how to get out of this state because I didn't have the right GPS to arrive at my divine appointment. I didn't know anything about psychology. I didn't know anything about spirituality. I just went to Catholic church, you know, where I swore at my mum and confessed and swore at my mum and confessed. That's all they taught me at Catholic church. I'm sure all of you learned a lot more. I didn't know, and the more I ate, the more depressed I got, the more I ate. The more I ate, the more I watched Elvis Presley movies and dreamed that I'd be Anne Margaret, and I'd watch Miss Universe contests going, I'm better looking than her. No, wasn't going to happen. So that's how I basically lived my childhood. And let me just tell you a little bit. I came from Lebanon, and in Lebanon I was, we lived in a stone mansion in the cedars of Lebanon. My mum was an aristocrat. My dad was a Middle East Airlines extremely handsome airline officer, and I was the apple of my grandfather's eye. And in the beginning of the 70s, the Civil War emerged, and Dad decided the best thing to do was to take us to the lucky country. Did you know Australia was called the lucky country in the marketing? Well, it was, and what we were told is you arrive at the airport and there'd be tons of money, and then the money would grow on trees, and blonde, blue-haired boys would fall in love with me because at that stage I was only a chubby, olive-skinned girl, and they would like that. But when I arrived here, my mum, the aristocrat, became the Inner West shopkeeper. My dad, the handsome Middle East Airlines officer, became the General Post Office mail sorter, and I became the fat wog. And as my country was being bombed, so was my fragile 8-year-old self-esteem, and my demise began. And I was shocked, and I didn't have a solution other than Jenny Craig, and Jenny Craig didn't work. It worked for Fergie, but it didn't work for me. I just kept getting fatter and fatter and fatter till by year 12 I was 120 kilos, which was not my top weight. And I was in love with the captain of the football team because, remember, I had a romance addiction to Elvis Presley, and he was Wayne Kelly, and my name was Grace, so we were destined to get married, so I could be Princess Grace Kelly. But the only princess I got likened to at my year 12 formal, in my yellow satin dress with the black palm trees and my black frizzy hair and my dark skin, was a Tongan princess. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but that was not where my head was heading. So I was completely destitute. Somehow I ended up at Sydney Uni Law School in a career my dad chose for me because I was too busy trying to work out how to lose weight and marry Elvis. So I ended up at law school, again missing the divine appointment, arriving at, you know, some other appointment, not mine. And at law school, I was depressed, I was fat, I was lonely, no boyfriend. I decided that the best solution was a geographical solution. I got a secondment to England. I arrived in England. I lost tons of weight. I did law during the day, drama school at night, and met a boy in drama school. We were the only two virgins left in drama school, so we had to get together because it was so embarrassing because everybody in drama school was rooting like anything. I was with him for 4 months until Karen, my Canadian girlfriend, came up to me and said, "Grace." I said, "Yes, Karen." She said, "Grace." I said, "Yes, Karen." She goes, "Andy's upstairs kissing Rachel." I went, no, there must be something wrong with the light. Andy would never do that to me. "He's upstairs kissing Rachel." Well, Andy was upstairs kissing Rachel because, you know, he was only 21 and he needed to sow his wild oats before the drama degree ran out. And I crashed and burned, put on weight, became depressed, returned to disappointment, needed a better solution. One of the boys in drama school handed me Women Who Love Too Much. And we're like, I didn't know you could love too much. You know, what is it? Are they feeding you? How can you love too much? And that was my first self-help book. You know, my migrant family never read a self-help book. My selective school didn't have self-help books. My Sydney Uni degree didn't teach me self-help books. And in that self-help book, I opened up to the world of the unseen, the world of the subconscious and the world of the collective unconscious. The world of the subconscious filled with repressed memories, trauma, addictions. I had codependency, I had love addiction, I had food, and everyone's saying had? No, I had food addiction. I still have these addictions, but they're under control. Food addiction, some of them. Food addiction, love addiction, codependency, childhood trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder, you name it, was all repressed in my subconscious. And the collective unconscious, spirituality versus religiosity, was the unseen, the power of the infinite, synchronicity, divine guidance, the universal mind, destiny, all of these things. I opened up to these things. I read 700 self-help books in 5 years. I went to every single workshop. I traveled to America and met Marianne Williamson. Within 2 days, she asked me to live with her. It was purely platonic, I assure you. And my journey of self-discovery grew and grew. And I think that's all I was going to tell you, except that by doing that, yep, I arrived at my divine appointment. So let me tell you where I am today. I am less than half my top weight. I can even tell you exactly how much I weigh because I don't have to lie about my weight anymore. I've gone from self-hatred to self-knowledge to self-like to self-love to self-in-love, not yet arrived at self-actualization, sorry Maslow, but I do stand in front of the mirror and go, God, you're hot, you know, and you wouldn't believe that if you knew me. I am now a life coach, not a lawyer, but I use law and acting with my clients. I am in love with someone who is going to propose next year, but he doesn't know that yet, does he, Ingrid? Ingrid and Jan are going to make sure of that. And he's amazing and not available, but amazing. No, sorry. I need coaching. And I'm going to finish on this. I met Les Brown last year and he had this saying, "It's possible, it's necessary, it's hard. It's worth it, it's you, it's done." Thank you.